Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the channel. My name is Joey. UFC 262 is this Saturday. The main event, Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler for the vacant lightweight title. Ever since Khabib Nurmagomedov vacated the belt back in October, after beating Justin Gaethje, the lightweight division has kind of been up in the air. And it's going to be nice on Saturday. We're going to get a new champion and get some clarity to the division. There was speculation for so long. Is Khabib coming back? Dana was trying to beg him to come back. He really wanted that Khabib versus Conor too for the title. Obviously, that wouldn't have worked for more reasons than one. But finally, we're here. We're going to get Oliveira versus Chandler. I'm so looking forward to this fight. I think it should be a very fun fight. The guys match up very well, and I'm just super excited for it. With that being said, I am, and I might eat my words, I'm very confident in my prediction for this fight. Sometimes I'm like, 60, 60-40, or, maybe even 51, 49% in confidence as far as my pick. But this one I'm very, very confident in. And I am going to go with Charles Oliveira by second round submission. And I just believe that Charles Oliveira, and this is going to be a very bold statement here, and again, may eat my words, but it is what it is. This is what I think. This is what I'm going to put on my channel, and we'll see. If I eat my words on Saturday, I eat my words. I think, not Chandler, I think Charles Oliveira is better everywhere. I think the only advantage that you could give Michael Chandler is power. Maybe, I think it's dead even as far as speed goes. But let's get into some more of the details. Chandler's 5'8", Oliveira's 5'10", so Oliveira has a slight height advantage. Chandler has a 71.5-inch reach, Oliveira 74-inch reach, so Oliveira has a slight reach advantage as well. Chandler's on a 3-fight win streak, Oliveira's on an 8-fight win streak. So there's some of the details, I don't usually like to go into stats too much. Not that that's really stats, but some people like to break down fights and go into percentages about takedowns and percentage of strikes landed per minute. I don't ever like to do that. I like to kind of look at the past to try to predict the future. I like to go off what I've seen and what I think we may see in the future. And I really believe that Oliveira is going to get this second round submission. But regardless if my method and round is right, I believe regardless of what happens on Saturday, I think Charles Oliveira is coming out the winner and will be the new lightweight champion. There was a lot of speculation I've seen leading, when this fight was announced, that the UFC made this fight because neither Oliveira nor Chandler has fought Khabib Nurmagomedov, so they'll be able to crown a new lightweight champion that isn't necessarily living in the shadow of the former champion, because most of the other guys have lost them. Justin Gaethje, Conor have all been submitted. I think they all were submitted. Yeah, they were all submitted by Khabib. So now you have a new champion. You don't have you'll still have a little bit of the Khabib talk, but you won't have that shadow looming over him. Oh, he beat that champion, and then he retired. And I'm super excited for this matchup. I love this matchup. I think the way it's going to go down, I think Michael Chandler is going to come out, and Chandler is so athletic and so powerful. And I think he's going to come out, and it's going to be very similar to that Dan Hooker fight. And he is going to try to take the center of the cage. He's going to try to press Oliveira, and he's going to try to land that one big bomb. And I think that's his only path to victory. That's one thing I look at when I try to predict a fight, path to victory. And for me, I only see one path to victory for Michael Chandler, and that's a first round KO, maybe early second round. But other than that, I don't see Chandler getting the submission. I don't see Chandler taking it to decision. I think he has to land a bomb early when he's fresh. Otherwise, I think he's going to lose. Now, don't get me wrong. Chandler is a great fighter. And he came in, I followed him for his whole entire Bellator career. I seen him in the Eddie Alvarez fights. I seen him in the Will Brooks fight. I seen him in the Pitbull fight. I seen him against Benson Henderson more recently. And I followed him for a long time. And I think that he will try to close the distance, which he's very good at. But I think that Oliveira will be able to use his jab, use his push kicks, front kicks to the body to kind of be able to keep Chandler off of him a little bit. Chandler came in, and I'm not going to lie, I predicted Dan Hooker to beat him. I just thought it was this terrible stylistic matchup for him. I thought the taller Hooker was going to be able to kind of keep the distance and kind of pick him apart and eventually finish him. But Chandler came out there. He was throwing those body shots. Then eventually he switched stances, landed that brutal left hook, and just put Dan Hooker down. Followed up with some shots, and the referee pulled him off. Spectacular performance. I think everyone was impressed with that win over Dan Hooker. I know I was, but it's one fight. It's one fight, and it's one fight in the UFC. And I'm not one of these guys that bash Bellator fighters and say, oh, Bellator fighters aren't as good as you. Because there is some very high-quality fighters in Bellator, and Chandler was one of them. But I just don't think he's one of the best lightweights in the world, no matter what. I just don't think he's better than Charles Oliveira. I think he's going to come out. He's going to try that heavy pressure. Charles Oliveira is going to use those front kicks to the body, those push kicks, the jab, and kind of keep Chandler off of him. I think Oliveira will be the better striker. Every single time that Charles Oliveira comes back, his striking has improved. You know, when he originally came into the UFC, which is crazy, he debuted in the UFC when he was 20 years old. That's insane. He's been fighting for the UFC for 11 years. He was mainly just a jiu-jitsu specialist. You know, he wasn't the greatest striker. His growth throughout his UFC career has been crazy. His striking always just every single time, every fight you can see an improvement. And he looked amazing in the Kevin Lee fight. He looked great in the Tony Ferguson fight. And I know a lot of people are dancing on Tony Ferguson's grave, but Tony Ferguson is still a quality fighter. Just because you lose to Justin Gaethje and you lose to Charles Oliveira doesn't mean you're all of a sudden some washed up bum. But I think you can take a lot of, hints from that Tony Ferguson fight against Charles Oliveira. Tony's a very pressure-heavy, closing the distance and kind of, he's more of a combination volume guy, but not a power guy. But he really drowns guys by pressing them. And in that fight, Charles Oliveira was easily able to negate it with jabs, push kicks, leg kicks. That's another thing I want to talk about. Charles Oliveira has some of the best leg kicks in the UFC. Nobody ever talks about it. He chopped up Tony Ferguson's leg. There's multiple fights where he just lands filthy leg kicks. And we've seen in the past, Chandler has been susceptible to those leg kicks. He's eaten quite a bit of them over his career. I mean, everyone does. But what comes to mind is against Primus, where he had that nerve behind his knee hurt and he couldn't continue. His leg was, Sean O'Malley. But Chandler didn't need to. Sean O'Malley was finished from that and needed to get stretchered out of the cage. But Chandler was able to continue for a little bit more before they stopped it. But Chandler's ate some leg kicks. Even in that Dan Hooker fight, Dan Hooker was chopping that leg up. A lot of people don't remember it because you see a minute, and there was a minute and a half, I believe, KO from Chandler, and you kind of forget everything that preceded that KO. I've rewatched the fight in preparation to do this prediction video, and Chandler didn't land too much up until he landed the knockout shot. But Hooker was chopping that leg repeatedly, and that leg was getting really red. And one of the last ones that he landed before he got KO'd hurt him. It kind of buckled his leg a little bit. I mean, I'm not saying it hurt him where he was going to get finished, but you get my point. He's ate a lot of leg kicks, and I think Oliveira is going to come out and really chop that leg and just use his jab, use his front kicks, keep Michael Chandler off of him. And there's a fight that I wanted to compare this to in a way. I think this fight is going to be a lot like, people are going to criticize me for this comparison, Cain Velasquez versus Fabricio Werdum. And the reason I say that is my prediction was second round submission, but I'm getting to how I see it actually going down. In that Fabricio Werdum fight versus Cain, Cain's a pressure fighter. Werdum was able to keep him off him, and Werdum was just a hair better than him on the feet. And he was lighting Cain up. And I believe Charles Oliveira will have the striking advantage. I think he's the better striker. Crazy to say. I think he is. And I think eventually Chandler will have to try something else. He will have to go to, if I'm not winning on the feet, where else can I win? And I'm getting stung on the feet. So what else can I do to win this fight? And I believe he's going to have to shoot in on the takedown. And Charles Oliveira has great grappling. He has good takedown defense. He has good offensive takedowns as well. Uh, and I believe when Chandler shoots in on that takedown, just like Cain Velasquez shot in on that takedown on Werdum as he was getting lit up, Oliveira will snatch up that submission, whether it's a guillotine or maybe some type of transition on the ground to another submission. Probably a guillotine if I had to really nail down a very specific prediction. So basically, what I'm saying is Chandler's going to be getting chewed up on the feet. Maybe not early because I think Oliveira is going to play it safe a little bit, try to maintain the distance, not get too reckless. Because in the Tony Ferguson fight, again, a lot of people don't remember this because it was a domination for 3 rounds. Oliveira ate some shots from Tony Ferguson in that fight too, but Tony Ferguson isn't the power puncher Chandler is. So if Oliveira comes out and really gets reckless in this fight, then who knows? My prediction is thrown completely off at that point, but I don't think he will. He knows Chandler has power. He's going to try to avoid it. But I think eventually when it's not working, he's going to have to go to a different path to victory. And when I judge these fights and try to predict these fights, I look at paths to victory. And for Chandler, I only see one path, and that's the KO, the early KO, and I just don't see it happening. I think Oliveira is such a special fighter. I wanted to see him versus Khabib Nurmagomedov so badly. I would have loved that matchup. But that's never going to happen, so I can stop dreaming about that. But I just think he's going to completely outclass Chandler. And maybe I'm wrong. Again, maybe I might eat these words on Saturday. But after Chandler gets beat up a little bit, he's going to come in on the takedown, and he's going to get submitted. Probably guillotine. Another thing I wanted to mention in this kind of breakdown and preview is I'm a resume guy. I love looking back on resumes to try to, understand what may happen in the future. And as a guy who looks at resume to try to determine the quality of a fighter, you look at Charles Oliveira, and even though he's on an 8-fight win streak, his resume leaves a lot to be desired. I mean, his best wins are his last 2 wins, which are against Kevin Lee and Tony Ferguson. But other than that, the names on his resume and on that 8-fight win streak are just, they're not the greatest names. But then again, you have Michael Chandler, who's fought, Eddie Alvarez, Will Brooks, Pitbull, Benson Henderson. He doesn't have the most stacked resume as well. So I really don't take too much for that. But one thing I did want to mention, and this doesn't mean a lot, I just find it very interesting. Back in the, I think it was 2014. Okay, I had to look it up real quick. Chandler fought Will Brooks twice, and Will Brooks beat him twice. He won one by decision, and the second one he TKO'd him. It was that weird stoppage where Chandler tried to call timeout after he got hit right on the top of the head, or right on the, top side of the, probably temple, I guess I would call it. He tried to call timeout. He had no idea what was going on. The referee waved it off. It was stopped. But anyway, looking back on the resume, I completely forgot this. Will Brooks has faded into oblivion at this point. It's crazy how, far he's fallen. But if you look at Charles Oliveira, that's an opponent they have in common. When Will Brooks came over to the UFC, in 2017, he fought Charles Oliveira. And Charles Oliveira was able to submit him and beat Will Brooks. So that's one of the opponents they have in common. And again, that doesn't mean a whole lot because they're at such different points in their careers now. This was years ago. The most recent fight was Oliveira's fight against Will Brooks, which was 4 whole years ago. But I just thought it was interesting to mention. Looking back on those fights, I did look back on those. Will Brooks was able to stuff a lot of Chandler's takedowns. And Charles Oliveira was able to out-grapple Will Brooks, take him down, and then get the back and submit him. So I just thought that was interesting. It doesn't mean a lot just because of how long it's been since it's happened. But I just thought it was super interesting. But I just also don't think that if Chandler wanted to come in with an offensive wrestling game plan, like so let's say he came in with, he just wanted to take Oliveira down and grind him out, I just don't think that's available to him. I think Oliveira will only go down if he wants to go down. Obviously, he's going to be looking for a submission. Other than that, I think Oliveira has the takedown defense and even the takedown offense to potentially take Chandler down. Maybe I'm crazy again, but I just think he does. Oliveira has some great trips, And I mean, just the submissions alone that Oliveira has been able to get over the course of his UFC career. I don't think anybody has more submission wins than Charles Oliveira. I'm not sure of the exact stat. I'm not too much into stats. I know people be talking about, strikes per minute, submissions attempts per minute, takedowns per minute. I don't really believe in all that. Um, so I don't really ever get into that too much. But Oliveira has a history of just submitting guy after guy. I mean, he submitted Kevin Lee. I think it was a guillotine. Then look what he did to Tony Ferguson. It was a decision win. But at the end of that first round, he had that arm hyperextended and even tucked it under his armpit and was cranking on it so hard only because Tony Ferguson is an absolute savage did he not win that fight by submission. So I just really think that unless Chandler gets that first round KO, I think Oliveira is just gonna jab him up, jab his face off, kick his leg, brutally kick his leg, land those push kicks to the body, maybe even a front kick to the face just to keep that distance, keep Chandler off of him. And I believe eventually Chandler's going to shoot in on that takedown, which if Oliveira wants to stuff it and keep it on the feet, I believe he'll be able to. But if he wants to, which he usually does, he'll look for that guillotine and fall right to the ground. And I think by the second round, both guys are going to be kind of through the feeling out process. I think Chandler's going to kind of get a little bit more aggressive. I mean, Chandler, again, I'm picking against him, but Chandler, what a fun fighter to watch. I mean, he's so aggressive, he's so explosive, he's so athletic, and he's going to move forward. He's going to try to take Oliveira's head off. And he might very well. I don't think it's very likely, but I feel like a lot of people are picking him. But I don't know if it's just because that hype from that massive win where a lot of people were doubting him. A lot of people doubted him against Dan Hooker, myself included. And to see him come out there and put that beating on Dan Hooker and that brutal left hook, I think it's shocked a lot of people. And so they were like, okay, let me get on this Chandler train because what he just did to one of the top lightweights was brutal. But I just don't think he's going to be able to get it done against Oliveira. It's sad to say. Chandler is an older guy. I believe he's 35. Oliveira right now is 31. So Oliveira is the younger guy. He's 31. And I just think that this is Oliveira's time to be the lightweight champion. And I think he will be able to hold that belt for a couple defenses. I'm not sure. The lightweight division is just so nasty. So it's hard to say what the future would hold for Oliveira after he wins this fight. If he does, in fact, win this fight, like I'm predicting. But I think he can be a dominant champion. And I doubt it ever happens. But I really want Khabib to come back and fight Oliveira. Could you imagine that style matchup? Because I don't know if he's even going to try to take him down. Maybe he will, because Khabib is an excellent jiu-jitsu guy as well. He doesn't get enough credit for that. But can you imagine him shooting on a takedown and possibly Oliveira submitting him? That would be insanity. That matchup would be so fun. I've dreamed about that matchup long before people were even talking about Oliveira in the lightweight title discussion. That's a fight that I've really wanted to see, but it is what it is. I'm not going to loom on that too much. On Saturday, we have Chandler versus Oliveira for this vacant belt, and I'm super excited for this fight. Can Chandler get it done? Can Chandler go out there and knock Oliveira's head off, put him to sleep, first round KO? I don't think so. But he's going to try, and that's what I love about it. I know he's going to go out there and try. He's going to throw, everything at Oliveira and try to KO him. But I don't think he's going to succeed in his task. Let me know in the comments, who do you think is going to win this fight? Am I crazy? Am I just blinded by Charles Oliveira? Am I just way too high on him? It's just hard for me to pick against him when I see, and this is something I look for in guys. When I see a guy in every fight, he shows noticeable improvement. It's, that's a really telling factor because you have certain guys that just never evolve. And Charles Oliveira has shown that every single time he comes out, he looks better. He's still young. He's only 31 years old. And it's just, impressive. So I think I'm going with Oliveira, second round submission. Let me know in the comments your prediction. Please, if you enjoyed this prediction video, make sure to like the video. Make sure you're subscribed. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.